Alright, what up guys? Today we're playing some Kingdom Come Deliverance, and today I wanted to talk about what I consider to be nature's highway. You may be thinking, what is nature's highway? Is it these trails in the forest, these beautiful rolling hills? No. You want to know what nature's highway is? One of the best ways to travel in the entire game? Well, it's right here, baby. It's the river. For those of you who are not aware, this is actually one of the best methods of traveling in the entire game. Setting aside fast travel, if you're just traveling on foot and you're trying to get to and fro as fast as possible with as minimal effort and trouble as possible, rivers are your best friend, particularly the main river here. So you'll see it connects Rattay to Ledechko, to Sasau, and whatever Vranik technically is, Samopish, the monastery, and that's like about it. And you do have these smaller forks that they kind of work. We'll get into those. Those are a little bit more interesting, but this main little highway here is definitely very useful, and there's some other useful rivers here and there as well. I wanted to start with this main river here because it is definitely the most useful. There's a couple reasons this is really good. One, obviously if you don't want to use fast travel but you want to travel places, this can be faster than taking roads and cutting through forests and stuff like that, and also having to deal with obstacles, rocks, fences, trees, bushes, that sort of thing. None of that really exists in the river. I mean, you have little things you got to go around every once in a while, but for the most part it's just kind of smooth sailing. Now you're probably aware you can't cross the river, but you can run along the river like this pretty well into it. I mean, you don't really even have to follow the shore that closely. You can just run down the river like this. Now, this isn't just good for those people who don't want to use fast travel, but if you're doing like hardcore mode, and let's say you don't have the compass, you can't see yourself on the map at all, well, one of the best ways to orient yourself in this game is using the river, right? It'll be a lot easier to notice towns and things like that. Like, you know, if I'm sitting here in the river, it's like, okay, well, that's obviously Rattay up there. Pretty hard to miss that. And so if you go that way, there's not really anything. You hit Rattay and then there's nothing. But if you go this way, obviously you'll hit Ledechko and Sasau and the monastery. Theoretically be some faster ways to get there, but this will get you there pretty quick, and you don't have to really pay too much attention to anything. You just follow the damn river. It ends up being really good, not just for avoiding fast travel, but if you're doing hardcore mode and you can't see yourself on the map and you don't have the actual compass available, it's a really good way to orient yourself and keep yourself on track if you're just trying to get from like Rattay to Sasau or whatever without getting lost. Really easy way to do it. Instead of taking the small highway, like, nah, I'm taking the 6-lane I-5. Screw this, right? With another major benefit being that enemies don't really seem to want to ever go into the river. I wish I could find an enemy nearby to come chase me, but from what I have noticed, enemies won't really follow you too far into the river, and they definitely won't necessarily just like run along the river. They'll tend to try to stay on the path and like follow you alongside the river rather than actually follow you in the river itself. So it's a pretty good way to avoid encounters, as well as a way to actually escape from encounters. So if you're already in an encounter and you're trying to find a way to escape, run straight for the nearest river and just dang old go. So yeah, we're in Ledechko now. As you can see, it's pretty easy. You just follow the river and you end up in Ledechko. Now, obviously, like, Ledechko is pretty easy to get from. If you can't get to Ledechko from Rattay without a compass and a map, you've probably got bigger problems. But, you know, being able to navigate even just this small block of the country is pretty useful. Let's see what these smaller little river fragments are looking like, because there is theoretically another piece of river here. I don't really know where it is. But it'll give you an idea of how this isn't necessarily always going to completely work, because these smaller rivers tend to be a lot less navigatable. I mean, there's like weird little obstacles like rocks and stuff in the way, but you'll also find a lot of like weirs and dams and stuff like that when you get closer to towns. So it's not necessarily the best once you get out of the main river system, but it is still somewhat usable, and it does still kind of serve its purpose for avoiding bandits and cumins, because the bandits and the cumins, they're going to be on the main roads, they're going to be on the main trails. Following rivers instead of trails, for the most part, will avoid a huge portion of... What am I hearing? Oh, that's what I'm hearing? In my opinion, these will probably even help you orient yourself more than a road would, because there's just not usually a whole lot of forks in these rivers. There's a lot of different forks and T's and intersections as far as the pathways are concerned. But as far as rivers, they're all pretty straightforward for the most part. Like, if I were to just... yeah, pretty much any other river would have been a better option. But yeah, like, as you could see, if I would have taken a different river, not the one that ends like that, I could have followed something similar all the way up until Skalitz, Ravna. The thing is, every single settlement is gonna be on some sort of river, so you're never really gonna be more than like a stone's throw away from any given settlement, really. And so anyway, here's the river going from Rattay. This is like a slightly better river than the one we just got off of. It's not gonna be quite as navigatable as the main river system. You're gonna have little boulders and things here and there. And, you know, you'll get close to towns and you'll start seeing things like this, you know. Of course, bridges got to cross your river every once in a while. And you'll find things like weirs and stuff as well. But also, theoretically, like, you don't necessarily have to be in the river to use it as a highway. You could just follow the river. And like I said, a lot of times following a river is just going to be a little bit easier than follow. Because look at these roads here. Like, if you're trying to navigate this road here, it's like, okay, you got a fork here, then 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 a fork here. Like, holy shit, man. River is like, yeah, you'll get forks every once in a while, but it's like, you'll get like a fork here. And then, like, way over here, you'll get another fork, right? So this path here should take us to Ravna. Let's see how well that goes. As if it's, like, difficult to see and get to Ravna from here. But you know what I mean. This, kind of gives you the gist of what's going on, more or less. So here we are, found our way to Ravna. And then, we should be able to take this second river split to Privoslavets, which, yeah, it's not a whole lot of a river going on here. The usefulness of this trick kind of dwindles as the river does, but it is still a really good pathfinding method because it'll just go straight to the next town over, essentially. The biggest thing here is that it avoids roads, which avoids all of like the bandits and cumins and other ambushes and stuff that exist. So it still does end up being quite useful. Now let's actually take a look real quick. If I wanted to get from Ravna to Privoslavets by road, we would have to go this way, then we'd have to choose the correct fork in the road, and the fucking road follows the river anyway, so it's not huge. But you could stare at the map a couple times and figure out like how many turns you need to make to get to where you're going. Or you could just follow the river and it'll take you directly to the next town because every town is on a river, right? It's still pretty useful even when it's not the main river system. And actually one more thing that I wanted to cover real quick, because I kind of forgot to mention it when I was on the main river. To an extent, I kind of glossed over the fact that you can't cross over the river. And you may be wondering like, okay, well, what happens if I want to get to some place across the river? What do I do? Well, it's actually not that big of a deal, because as you can see, well, here's an example right here. Yeah, you can't cross the river here, but basically you got to find little things like this. I mean, obviously there's a bridge there, but at every crossing, there's either going to be a bridge or like a natural water crossing where it gets shallow. You know what I mean? I, of course, chose like the worst example first, but can't cross the river. But oh, look at that. You can see some shallow rocks over here. Guarantee you that's a crossing. Not every crossing is going to have a bridge. Some crossings are just like this. And bada bing, bada boom. That's a crossing. Yeah. Basically, river travel is one of the best methods of travel. If you're not trying to fast travel and you're just trying to like turn off your brain and get there quickly, river system is the best way to go, particularly if you're going to one of these places that are on the main river system. What is fucking happening here, bro? You just got this like super magically deep portion of water here all of a sudden. That was weird. Boom, look at another crossing. Like, you'd be surprised how many crossings there are. Oh yeah, more river crossings. So yeah, like pretty much every like 100 feet there's a river crossing. So you really don't actually have to worry about crossing the river all that much. Like, you will find a place to cross the river, I promise. But yeah, that's it for this video. Pretty simple one. You basically just use the rivers to travel, and it's actually pretty decent. You can get there faster, you can avoid ambushes, and even if you've already been ambushed, like, enemies usually don't follow you through the river, so it's a pretty good way to escape from enemies as well. That is Nature's Highway, the river system. But anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and all that stuff. I definitely enjoy that. See you guys in the next one.